This is Let's Keep It Real with Sandy Joy Weston, your weekly dose of positivity with awesome stories and guests from all over the world. It's an opportunity to learn some great new things and expand your mind. We'll tackle topics from all areas of life, and as always with Sandy, the sky's the limit.
Well, hello. How are my power ladies? Well, this is really funny because normally I have people on that I really don't know that well. Sometimes I've never even talked to them before the event. But today I want to tell you about this young lady. It's crazy how long we've been pals and how long I've known her. I don't even know. It's probably 1,000 years. But let me tell you about her. Shari Botwin. Now, this is all her professional stuff, which we usually don't chat about. So this is going to be cool. Shari, LCSW. I have to ask her about that later because I thought it was like LGBT, but I don't think so. I think it's something to do with being a counselor or therapist. She's laughing. Don't talk yet. All right. Which I'm all good with. Has been counseling survivors of all types of abuse in her Cherry Hill, New Jersey, private practice for over 23 years. Woot woot! Her second book, Thriving After Trauma, Stories of Living and Healing, deals with overcoming physical and sexual abuse. Very lighthearted reading, as you can see. War-related injury, lost due to illness or natural disasters, and life-altering medical issues. Ooh, heavy stuff, Shari. Shari has given commentary on a variety of international media outlets on breaking stories related to trauma. Shari, did you like the opening? I was like, how are you? I was like, what is LCSW?
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, I want to know what it is.
LCSW stands for Licensed Clinical Social Worker. It's my credential.
Okay. Hey, it's all good to me. You know me. But I was laughing because you know how she knows me. I have my stuff. Like I'm like, oh God, what initial are they now? ABC, AD1, A3. Like I don't like labels, right, Shara? So I always joke about it, you know. So, anywho, Shara, we're gonna take a little turn here. Are you ready to go with the flow here?
I can't wait.
All right, so Shari deals with some serious crap, right? Really serious stuff. No wonder she works out so much. And what we're going to do today, though, is because this is like laughter, give you some tips for everyday people dealing. You know, we got our own everyday traumas, but we're going to take it a step back, and Shari and I are going to talk about different things and different tips for any type of situation that you're dealing with frustration, angry, anxiety, you know, you feel like you're depressed, like, you know, not the real serious stuff. How do you take what all her knowledge is, because you can, and apply it to everyday things. But before we do that, Shari, I start my show by asking everyone if you were going to pick a word that you feel embodied you for the last 30 days, not 30 days moving forward. Now, I know people said, you know, they felt joy, they felt love, they felt anger, they felt passion, they felt fear. But what word, if you're going to be authentic with us, do you think dominated how you felt in the past 30 days?
I'm going to say feisty.
Feisty? Ooh. Shari, yep. We haven't had that word lately. Feisty. All right, explain why feisty.
Feisty because in this time of things sort of being hectic and uncertain and at times totally boring, I'm finding ways to have fun and step out of my box. I notice that I'm thinking differently about relationships and I'm picturing things from my life now that I really never pictured before. And I say feisty because I'm having a shitload of fun in it. Rather than getting nervous or anxious about these different goals I'm setting, I'm really just having so much fun in it and I'm enjoying talking about it, and I have a lot of energy behind it.
Ooh, I like that. All right, people, feisty. That's a word we haven't. I don't even know if we've ever had it on the show. So feisty. Now, Shar, we have a challenge for you.
Uh-oh.
This week.
Oh no. What are you gonna...
This week is my first week of this, so you're my first, and it's recorded, so you don't know when it comes out, but we're starting it. It's called the No 3C Week. I might make it the No 3C month. You never know with me, but Shari knows me so well. She knows, okay, this is not so far for Weston to do.
No.
I am someone who gets all that's going on in the world, good, bad, and ugly. And you can't get away from it. People always say, Sandy, you wear rose-colored glasses. Maybe. But I am more than aware because I talk to people all day long. And even if I don't want to listen to the news, my husband does. I mean, I can't help, no matter where we are, what year, knowing what goes on. But for what I do for a living, I want to take things and get people for that little bit of time I have them and shift their brain to think about anything else with highlighting some ways and tips to deal with issues. Sometimes we laugh the whole time, sometimes we laugh and we cry, but that's my piece of the world. So after being in this environment, I am doing the no C thing. So here's the thing. Shari knows what I mean by the big C, and that's a whole nother story. So we're not talking about, oh, did you hear so-and-so has the big C? That's before quarantine, right? So there's that. I used to call it the blue ribbon, the pink ribbon. We got a green ribbon going on. All right, so that's that, Shari. The second thing is, well, I never see the other female C word. So we just threw that in there. So you're going to have to avoid that today, okay? I think you could be up for that, right?
Totally.
And the third one is what's going on. We don't say that C. So that's just for now. So this show, we can't say any of those 3 C's.
I think that'll be easy.
Okay, cool. All right, now let's move forward. Shari and I met at my gym, my first gym. And I forget what year. Was it 93, 94, Shari?
So it's 2020. I would say around 1990, because I moved out to PA. So it was 1996 or 97.
Oh, yeah, I opened the gym in 93. So I knew it was soon after that, but I guess it was a little bit after that.
I was still, in 93, I had just graduated from college. And then I knew about your gym for a couple years, saw you on air, thought you were totally crazy, insane. And then one of my friends that I grew up with, I had heard she was at your gym, and she said you need to go try this woman's class. She's totally crazy. You're gonna love it. And then so it was probably 96.
That's a long time though. Long
96.
time.
That's 24 years.
Shari loves to dance. So I used to teach a lot of classes, everything, but we also had a lot of fun dancing, didn't we?
Yep.
Do you still take dance classes, or are you doing it virtually? What are you doing?
So I was right before the gym wasn't open. I was taking this crazy cardio funk class, and that was actually the first time I had done a dance like class, probably since I stopped taking your classes. So for a good 10 years, there weren't really any classes that appealed to me. After I stopped taking your class, I just started doing other things. And then I had been looking through the window watching this woman teach this class and was like, I need to try that. So I did.
Oh, good.
I did do it for a little bit. The issue I had was I loved it and I went bananas in it, but then I would wake up the next day and be like, well, this hurts now and this hurts now and that hurts, and dude, you're gonna be 50 soon, so you might want to just stick with doing what you're doing in your house. I mean, I totally loved it, but I didn't love that I felt like then I couldn't do any classes. So I just decided I'm gonna just dance on my bike, or I'm gonna just dance through my house. But my passion for dance and my feelings about it are still the same.
Yeah. I agree. Dance, I think, has saved both our lives through a lot of difficult stuff, and you feel so free. And now I tell people, you should see Shari, you would crack up. I'll have some serious doctor, and we're talking about, neuroscience, and it'll get so serious that I'll say in the middle of the podcast, time for a dance party, doc. And he goes, what the? I'm like, woo, we gotta have a dance party. Matter of fact, Shar, I think I should get something that in the middle, can I do that in the middle of my podcast goes dance party and then rah, 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 rah. Like if people start going down a difficult road, could I do that?
You totally could. And
I'm sure there's a way. I don't know how, but I'm sure there's a way,
I
you know?
dare you. I say go for it because people need that right now. I think it's great.
Yeah. And I just do I will get up if I've been at so first I loved Zooms and all that stuff, but then sometimes it's too much. I
Hmm.
just need to get up and dance and move around. So
Yep.
all right. All right. So before you come on, I always reach out to my guests and my listeners for some questions they have for you. So the first question for you, Shari, is all right, ask Ms. This young man said, Shari, after dealing with clients all day long, she must get stressed. What does she do to release it? Number one. And number two, what does she do not to take it on? Ooh, this is a
What a
good
good question.
question.
That's a good question.
And we never say their real name, so we're going to call him Billy Bob.
I love it. Billy Bob. That's what I'm going to name my next kid in my next life.
Yeah, Billy
It's
Bob.
such a good question. People ask me all the time. So there's two parts to the question. So the first part is, what do I do at the end of the day to release some of my stress?
Yep.
So what I do these days is I try and shift gears. So I kind of give myself a few minutes to just sit and be with whatever thoughts I'm having. And then I go down the hall and I see my 9.5-year-old, grinding as he would call it, talking to all his friends on his PlayStation. And I just sort of get my mind back into the role of being a parent. And I say to myself, I focus on not the stresses of the day or the things that were upsetting, but I focus on the small victories. And that's one of the things I love about my job is that I find that there are many victories in therapy that I can experience with somebody. So I usually tend to focus on that. In terms of getting it out of my system and trying to separate, I mean, often I will do things like take a class. Sometimes I'll get in my car between like 5 and 7 because I know that they're playing dance mixes on Power 99 FM. So I kind
Oh,
of,
see?
yeah, and now I grab my 9.5-year-old because I want to get him away from the TV and stuff. And I say, come on, we're going to go for a ride. And I just sort of sit in my car and I talk to myself and I focus on all the great things that are going on around me and I focus on all the happy sort of hopeful things that I see for other people. So I don't often, even though I'm talking to people with some really heavy duty stuff, I usually don't feel stress at the end of the day. I feel maybe sad or mad, but more like I feel more hopeful and I
Hopeful. I
feel,
was going to say that. I just wrote hopeful.
yeah,
Big.
huge
Yeah.
hope. And people don't understand that when they think of working through different types of trauma. They think it's depressing and how do you do that all day? It must be so draining. When people are owning their experiences and talking about, what they want to change, I don't find that depressing. I find that to be
Ooh,
empowering.
good point, Shar. Good point. You're right. Because if they're there, they're ready.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Now, most of the people are they have elected. They're not forced, right? It's not like
Nobody's
their parents are forcing them or
I mean,
whatever.
occasionally I have worked with teenagers whose parents say you have to go to therapy, and they'll sit in my office with their hands crossed or their arms crossed, and they
Hmm.
won't talk. But I find that experience also, I get it. Like, what teenager wants to sit and talk to some lady that she doesn't or he doesn't even know? I don't take that personally, and I can relate to that feeling. So even when that happens, but usually, yes, people are coming to see me because they want something to change in their life for the better.
Yep,
O-
yep.
Occasionally, people will come in and just sort of act out all of their anger and sadness and sort of try and take it out on me. And I find that to be difficult and that can be upsetting. So, in those situations, I just reach out to colleagues and I get support and I just learn how to understand this is not about me. This is about whatever he or she is going through, and I respect where people are in the moment. But that's probably the hardest part of my job.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on the days, did you ever have a day where somebody came in and this is the next question and you thought, why are they here? They seem like they have it all together. Like it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Did you ever think that privately, or they're all pretty much like, I'm so glad you're here?
That's a good question too, because honestly, often I don't know half of what the person's doing in my office until I've known them for 6 months or a year.
Ooh,
So I sort of
wow.
experience, yeah, that's actually really common because when somebody goes into therapy and they've had violations of trust, they're not going to just come in to sit with Shari Botwin and all of a sudden open up and
Good point. Yeah.
yeah. So I say to myself, I don't really know if I understand why this person is here, but I can usually pick up on feelings or I can sense if somebody's in pain even if they're not talking about it. And I'm just very patient and open and understand that that's just part of the process. So it's actually pretty common to
Ooh.
not really know why somebody's in therapy. And if somebody out there is listening right now and they're having that experience where they know they need to go, but then they get there and they don't know why they're there,
Or what
I
to
would
say, right?
you know what I would say? Just keep going, especially if you feel connected and you feel like I want to go. You'll at some point you'll open the door, you'll unguard yourself, and you just have to be ready. And if you're not ready when you sit with somebody that you're doing therapy with in the beginning, that is absolutely fine.
Cher, I was on the phone. You know me, I go to all these places where teens work. And my son always says, "Oh my God, Mom, just don't say hello. Don't even say." I'm like, "How can I not say hello?" Because my personality, people open up to me and start telling me things. It's been that way my whole life, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But one of these teens were saying to me, he was so cool. He's going off to college, and I think he's going to somewhere in New York City. And he said, Sandy, I think everybody should talk to somebody a minimum of once a week. I go, I agree. That's great. Like, some people have best friends. And he didn't say like he had an issue, but he said, I think it's important to have support and reach out to somebody that's not your friends and not your family, just in general. I don't know how you think of that.
I absolutely agree. And I know there can be stigma around like getting help and seeing a therapist, but I feel like
Not anymore. You think so?
not I think it's so much different now. I
Yeah.
mean, when I first started in the work, there was still stigma, especially with the younger
Oh,
kids.
absolutely.
But now
Absolutely.
the teenagers joke. They say, "Well, my best friend goes to therapy on Tuesdays and my boyfriend goes to therapy on Fridays and I see you on Mondays." I think that it's so important to be able to talk to somebody who you don't have all that um I'm trying to think of the way you would describe that, but when you love somebody, when it's your parent, when it's your friend, when it's your boyfriend, sometimes you just can't open up and share the way you would with somebody who's sort of a neutral, non-judging force.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think to be able to bounce things off of somebody who isn't emotionally involved in your life, you're more likely to get honest feedback.
And first of all, the people coming into your life that are your family and friends, even if they totally love you, right? I call it well-meaning. It doesn't mean the advice is good, you
Right.
know?
That's the other
They're
thing. Just
not they're not an expert, and they're also invested in it. They're personally invested in it. They
right.
can't. How do you say I can remove myself? It's just maybe you could have a best friend that is that way, but still they're not a specialist.
Right, like exactly. And even for someone like myself who does therapy, when I talk to like my friends, when I'm a parent, it's not the same. I can give advice about, well, when you're having trouble with your friend or your husband or your kid, maybe you might want to try this. When I'm in it, I can't do that. And I'm a therapist.
Right.
I can't do that because I'm too close to the situation.
Absolutely. I just was on the phone the other day with someone who is a phenomenal mentor, and she's a great psychiatrist too. And she said, "Yeah, Sandy, I have to be honest with you. I can help everybody but myself." And I started laughing, and she was saying, "Sometimes I feel like, I don't know if you heard people say this, the imposter
Imposter
theory
syndrome. Yep.
syndrome." And I said, that's not true, because with all your stuff, maybe you haven't quite figured it out yet. And I think she's in her 60s, but you're helping a lot of people. I don't think it has anything to do with it. You know, I don't know how you feel about that, but there might be people that really don't have their stuff together, but they're trying, they're
Right.
trying, and yet they can help a lot of people.
Right. And some people land in the field. Some people will refer to it as wounded healers. What can happen is you can be doing two things at the same time. Earlier in my work as a therapist, there was so much I hadn't confronted yet. So what I was doing was I was working towards speaking about my own stuff as I was talking to other people. I didn't know it at the time. I had no idea. But I say to myself, as you sit with patients year after year, you're continuing to work on yourself at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I don't
Absolutely.
think there's anything wrong with that. I used to feel kind of like a fraud, like that imposter syndrome thing.
Yeah.
Like, who am I to sit here and help this person and that person if I can't even X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
I don't feel that way anymore.
Good for you.
No.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Listen, when you get all your shit together, and you have it like, woohoo, I've arrived, that's when you're going to the next pearly gates, which
That's what
hopefully
I,
is when
yep.
you're really old. All right, so here's the deal, Shar. I have a question about dating
Go on.
virtually.
Love it. Love it.
This young lady is going insane. She says, Sandy, seriously, man. This is what she said. Seriously, man. I'm going insane. I almost want to see a therapist about dating, which I was cracking up. But she's like, and this is not your expertise, but she did say, do you think it's a healthy thing to date online right now? There you go.
That's a great question. You know what? It's really the only way to date. And I think, yeah, of course it's healthy. Right now, we need to really stay connected to people, and we don't want to feel like if we can't do certain things, that means that we can't have what we want in our life or we can't go out and look for it. I have been talking to a lot of different people who, through earlier back when we were home a lot, were going online and doing FaceTime dates, all these crazy things that I think are great, like setting up, going online and meeting people and then talking on the phone and then realizing I think I would want to meet this person. So they're setting up what they call FaceTime dates. And then when they feel comfortable, oh
Ah,
no, I love this. And then once you feel comfortable, what you can do now, because the weather's great, is you can meet somebody in person at a park. You can meet somebody at a coffee shop and sit, across the table from each other or across the
yep.
sidewalk, whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. So I think if you want something right now, it's healthy to go after it, and you're certainly not putting yourself at any risk. And I don't
Nope.
I don't think at this time there's a less there it's less connected to meet somebody on a video than to sit in the room with them. If you can see somebody's face at this point and have a direct conversation, I think you're gonna, if it's a good conversation, I think you will get a sense of that person.
I think people are actually getting to know people more
Yep.
because of this. And they're not wasting, that wasn't the right word, but maybe it's wasting. You don't have to go out and go, ugh, right? You get to do it at home, a few times before you actually meet in person.
And you can see more about people. I can see that, like, when I'm on video with friends or patients, I'm now seeing things about their life that I didn't see before. I'm meeting their kids,
That's
I'm
true.
seeing their pets. I mean, sometimes I'm in session and my one cat just comes flying across my screen. Well, now everybody knows I have a cat. And I mean, I think it's great. I can see how some people's bedrooms are a total mess, and we joke about it, and they also see more about me. So if this is the other thing, if you're wanting to get a sense of a person and you're meeting them online, you can actually see more about their life now than if you meet them at a bar for the first time.
Good point.
Yep.
And you can have happy hour too. I mean, people bring their wine, or you can have, whatever you want, your beer. I've
when
had so many happy hours on Zoom with friends.
when it was like maybe the third week in March, it was right when we were home. I went on NBC and I talked to the NBC doctor, Dr. John Torres. He's the one that's been talking a lot about the medical pieces of what's going on right now. And he actually asked me about the dating thing. And when I started talking to him about how you can set up FaceTime dates and you can have a happy hour, he nearly lost his mind. Like he was cracking up because I think at that point, we
We weren't
weren't
thinking that way. Yeah.
right, right. Like, and oh, wow, you actually could. And I'm thinking as I'm sitting on that thing with him, I wish I could go out with him because he is so cute. This dude is so cute. He's so my type. And I just think it's fun. I mean, I think it's great
You
to
were
be
like,
able.
wait, is he married or single?
Well, unfortunately, he's married because I did text the producer after and I said, "What is up with this doctor?" It was actually quite distracting because I'm not
Right.
usually thinking about what somebody looks like when I'm talking
Right.
on air,
Right.
but the dude's really cute and
Oh,
it's
that's so cute.
he
But
was
it's
so
funny. He was like,
sweet.
"Oh, you can do that." Well, he doesn't know. He's married. He's been out of the game
He
forever.
he was just like sort of stumped by it, and I think in March nobody was really. Now people have thought of these things and people are talking about it. Not people weren't thinking about all this stuff then because we didn't have a long enough time to be in this way of living to know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I tell that person who wrote that question, you
Go
go
for it.
out and you meet yourself, whatever you're looking for. And yes, absolutely, it's healthy and it's wonderful
You
to
know
go.
what? I
Yeah,
have to tell the listeners, and Shari, maybe I don't know if you know the name of it, but I'm writing a note because I'm not that familiar. I know it starts with an R, but there's some kind of app that you can go to like a cocktail party or have an event for lots of people. Like, let's just say 100 people. Like you could have a birthday party. And I don't know if you heard of this. And then you have, what do they call it? Your avatar. You have your you have your avatar that
yeah.
you create. Listen to this thing. If anybody knows about this, you have to let us know. You create an avatar for you, and then you go into the party. And if you walk up to someone, like you go up to the bar area and you want to chat, then your face comes on Zoom, just like Zoom. Then it's you, and you can. Isn't
Wow.
that freaking
Well,
awesome?
I want to go. What is this? I
All
don't know
right,
what.
we're gonna look it up because I know it starts. My friends were telling me that somebody had turned. I don't know. Somebody was turning 60, whatever, and she works for the orchestra. And of course, they couldn't have a big, huge party, but there is this app, just like there's Zoom out there and Skype and all this stuff. And she created this party, and the way she decorated it, that it's like a game, and you're like a game piece on it, like Minecraft, like your character, and you walk around and you see your name. This is the craziest thing, is above the character. And then if you wanted to go up to whomever, there could be 3 or 4 people. As soon as you get within a certain distance, your face pops on
That
and you
is
can have a
amazing.
conversation. Is that the coolest thing
Oh my
ever?
gosh, I want to go. Will you please let me know?
I
Because I
will,
want
and
to know.
or we'll look it up and we'll attach it, because there probably are. Now that was for a specific private party, but I'm sure there's events like that
Hmm.
people are hosting. And if not, Shari, we're doing it for singles because we could corner the market. We could make millions.
Well, just so you know, so I don't know if you heard about this, but I did get an evite for this. There was a singles outdoor boot camp. It was a couple weeks ago. So what it was a class, a workout class, and then the next hour was this I thought this was hysterical, but socially distant socializing for the next
Okay,
hour, and it was meant for singles.
I love that. Yeah, they
Yep.
do. I know they have singles golf and singles that, but this to me is taking a bad situation and making it phenomenal. Like all the things that have been created during this time, the opportunities. I mean, how fascinating. This was for, like I said, a birthday party or retirement party. But the fact, I'm sure it is. I mean, I wish I could create it, that there is stuff out there for singles. But can you imagine? And no one sees you,
Right.
because unless you want them to,
It
like,
sounds
because you're just an
amazing.
avatar. You created your own little thing. You dressed yourself up. I love it. Until you get X, like you walk up X amount of inches. Oh my God. So the guy that was his birthday was sitting at the bar, and people would take turns coming up to him and chatting with him. Anywho, I love it. It's another great thing. All right, Sharon, let's
Yeah.
talk about, you wake up in the morning, right? And it's not your normal routine, and everybody's saying, have a routine, whatever it is. Make sure you get up, you make coffee, whatever you do, make your tea. And you're starting to have those racing, crazy, oh crap, anxiety thoughts about anything.
Yep.
Let's just talk about even 5 years ago or 5 years in the future. What do you do? What is one of your methods?
So what I say to people is when you start going to that place where you feel like all of your thoughts are sort of whirling around in your mind and that worry and fear comes in, you just try to you plant your feet on the ground and you ask yourself, which things do I want to focus on right now? Is this about stuff that's going on in my life today? Is this more future or past worry? And what I say is only try to focus on what's going on in that day. Pick one thing that you're ruminating over and try and make a space to reassure yourself or comfort yourself that what you're feeling about the situation now will not last forever. And if you need to write stuff down, sometimes writing stuff down, kind of like, well, how do I want to handle this? That can be very helpful. The other thing I think that is important is that when you wake up in the morning right now and you don't necessarily have a place to go, you're more likely to feel more anxious and you're more likely to have thoughts running around and you're more likely to just feel unmotivated and kind of physically more sort of slow and heavy. So I think the other thing to do is if you can't find the words, if you can't kind of describe or write down or figure out what's about today, what's about next year, that's when I would say do something physically active to try and calm that part of your nervous system that doesn't have words. So I might at that point say that's when you want to go for the bike ride or the yoga class or the hike, doing something to kind of just get some of those
Mm,
physical sensations to calm down because the physical feelings associated with anxiety is part of what makes people go into panic mode or overload or become stuck and just sort of like in their bed when they
yeah.
get really depressed. So and I think sometimes too, if you feel like I am so worried right now, I feel so anxious right now, and I don't know what to do. The other thing you can do is if you need to just call somebody or tell your husband or talk to your best friend, just know
Or
that
your cat or
or
dog.
or the trees, because I know you
Yeah.
like the trees.
Yeah.
Um which Andrew and I do now, by the way, sometimes. So I would say it's if you need to say something to somebody so that you can also have somebody say back to you. I have days like that too because
Everyone
I
does.
everybody
You'd
has
have to be a robot.
right, right. And you know what? Also to just remind yourself when you feel anxious, that's a feeling, right? A feeling doesn't last forever. So to have somebody say back to you or to say to yourself, this is what I'm feeling right now, but I'm not going to feel like this for the rest of my life. I'm not going to feel like this for the
Yeah.
rest of the week. To
Yeah.
just sort of remember that, you can have periods where things kind of fester and then boil up and over and the lid is popping out off of the pot and you feel like I just can't do this anymore. Well, pay attention to that feeling and recognize that it is a feeling and it probably means that you just need to be dealing with something that maybe you haven't been dealing with directly. It might mean that you need to say something to somebody or you may need to make like a change in something, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny? I don't think about this. I just do things to make myself feel better, but sometimes I don't think it through. And you're sitting here and you're saying what to do. And I was doing that when I'm such a social person. You know that, Sherry. I mean, I need to be out, about, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're talking extrovert max, a feed off energy, completely opposite than my family. So when I wasn't going anywhere, I would get up in the morning. Besides, I do my writing, I do my journal, I do a little meditation, blah, 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 words. But first thing I would do is make my coffee. And then I would go outside and water the plants. It's the first thing I do in the morning, and it clears my head right up. I just need to be in a different environment. So for me, taking that hour in the morning, I go out and tend to all my plants. Even if it's raining shower, I'll go
Yep.
on my front porch and tend to them.
Yep.
Like, I need to get outside and just move and water and see life. And I didn't even realize that, but that's probably why I was doing it. I just needed a change in atmosphere from being inside the house.
Well, and I think it's super important right now, especially because people are home so much to really like constantly be moving around their environment and being able to connect with things that are outside of our homes because it can be very soothing and calming. It's
Yeah.
kind of like you probably didn't know this when you were doing it, but in a way, you're nurturing yourself by going out there and watering the
Yeah, I
plants.
wasn't thinking of it. I just knew it'd make me smile.
Right.
That's it. But I didn't even, no, I wasn't even thinking that that's what I do. And now when you're talking about, I'm like, holy moly, I was just doing it.
Yep.
Now, one of the things, but I do, besides a lot of stuff you mentioned, I always say to myself in the morning, I got this from years ago. I ask myself what I need. That's what I do. I say, what do I need today? What do you need right now? And when I started doing that months ago, that's when I started even more so. You know how I love my flowers, but I planted a garden. So I go out, and now for the first time in years, I'm like getting my own tomatoes, my own cucumbers, my peppers. By the way, I have stuff for a salad, Jerry. So much stuff.
Oh,
But it's another thing that makes me feel good.
yeah. Well,
Being out there in the freaking garden and going, oh, look at, I take pictures of a cucumber or a zucchini, and people are like, why are you posting that? I grew that. That's why.
yeah, no, that's like something to be proud of. And here's the thing, I think it's great to be able to wake up in the morning and say, what do I need? The one thing I'm going to say is if you can't answer the question, if I ask myself what do I need and my answer is I'm not really sure, that's when you want to just try and do those different things that have worked for you before.
Oh,
You've
good point.
identified the need, which is great, but sometimes we don't know. So this is what I
Oh,
would
good
say,
point.
right?
Yeah.
So
You
I
don't
would
know what
say,
you need.
right. So then you know what I would do? I would maybe think of five different things that I've done before that has helped. And I'll say to myself, try these different things and see what works best.
Ooh, that's good because you're right. Some people would say, I don't know what I need.
That that's part of the problem when people get like really anxious or upset or depressed. That's one of the most common issues people report when I'll say, well, what do you need? How can you best take care of yourself, or what do you think you need at that moment? Well, if I knew that, Sherry, why the fuck would I be talking to you right now? Like, a lot of people, they don't know. They just don't know. So
Right,
that's
right.
why you have to be open to sort of trial and error. I mean, at this point, I think I've been able to identify. I know when I wake up in the morning, I need to do something active because if I don't get on my Peloton or turn on a video or run around the block,
Yeah,
I will start to feel heavy and I will start to feel
yeah,
sluggish and I will start to feel sad. So I've just decided that that's how I make my
yeah,
schedule. And I've been doing it for 25 years now. I mean, I used to go to work after I would take your class. I would schedule my life around my physical activity because I know and I knew that I can't be sedentary
yeah,
at the start of the day. I can't do that because then I'm not going to be able to make it through the day. I'm going to get too overloaded with those sort of negative feelings that I have to work on managing as I go through my life.
yeah, yeah. And by the way, most people are that way. They feel so much better if they work out in the morning. For me, doing the gardening stuff first thing in the morning is great. And I need to work out at the end of my day.
Mhm.
It's when I mean, even you would probably crack up because sometimes I've been caught in thunderstorms. I need to go on my bike, even just for a short period of time, to
Mhm.
clear my head before dinner. Like
Yep.
it just makes me feel better. Now there are times I use my bike upstairs, but if I can at least get out there, it's the thing I do because it clears me from my day. That's what
And
I do.
yeah, and here's the thing, that person in the beginning that you asked about, like, how do you manage your stress? So for some people, this is what I hear you saying, being able to do something physical and something active at the end of the day is sort of what works for me at the beginning of the day.
Yep.
It's the time of the day that you're dedicating to releasing some of those, sort of the tension and the conflict and the stress. So I think again, it's great that
Yep.
you've identified that, and this is the thing, you want to stick to that. You don't want to start changing things up thinking, well, maybe I should try something different. Listen, if you have found what works for you, you need to stick with it.
That's exactly right. When people say, no, 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 you have to eat at this time. No, 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 you have to work. Oh, come on, people. Everyone has a different alarm clock, right? Everyone has a different. Some people wake up in the morning and they're chippy, 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 and they're happy and they feel great to start their day and it builds up for them. Other people, wake up like, oh my God. So you have to know you.
Yep. And you have to honor it and just know that what works for you is what it is. You don't need
Yeah,
to change it or
yeah,
worry about what other people think.
yeah. And here's another point that I'm reading through some of your points, and we'll make sure we list them, because we're not going to get to all of them today. But don't be afraid to reach out for help of anything. Don't think, oh, this is minor, or be embarrassed. Like that drives me crazy, you know? I don't like that. I like when people reach out for help for whatever it is, life coach, mentor, therapist, counselor. That to me is a sign of strength.
I absolutely agree. And I think now more than ever, people really need to give themselves permission to ask for what they need, and it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to need help, and like you said, it takes courage to ask for help.
It does. It does. To me, that's strength, man. Woohoo! All right, Shar, we're going to have to wrap up. But before we do, some people call it rapid fire. I call it fast and furious. Just want you to answer a few questions.
Okay.
Don't put a lot of thought into it. Whatever pops in your brain. We'll start out easy peasy. What's your favorite color?
Pink.
Pink. I know the answer to this one. What's your favorite vegetable?
Broccoli.
What's your favorite food?
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. What food do you absolutely hate?
Butter and mayonnaise.
Butter,
Ugh. Gross.
butter and mayonnaise.
Ugh.
What is a show that you watch, if you watch anything, that you watch any series on Netflix, Hulu, or anything that people may not know
People may not know.
about you?
Oh, I watch The Simpsons every night with Andrew Botwin.
Okay, she watches The Simpsons.
Two
Okay.
episodes.
What is something about you? Could be a guilty pleasure, could be something you just didn't share, could be something silly that you can tell us that nobody might know about you.
I love gumballs.
Gumballs. Yeah, I know. See, I know she loves gumballs, but
Strawberry and purple are my favorite colors. Just if you wanted to know.
you want to send her gumballs.
Only Double Bubble, by the way. There's certain brands I don't like. I like Double Bubble because the pink ones actually taste like strawberry versus cherry.
Mm.
I like the strawberry gumballs.
Okay. What do you do to laugh? What's your favorite thing you do to laugh?
Watch my kid grind on his PlayStation and listen to how he talks to people.
Mm. That's a good one.
I mean, it may change in a month or so, but that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. I like that. Watch your kid. I like the word grind.
I got that from him, by the way, and he says to me, "You're not allowed to say that." I'm like, "But you say it." Well, you're not using it correctly. Well, I'm using it the way you use it.
Well, at least you could. I think you have permission to, when you're referring to what he's doing, say he says he's grinding.
That's what he says.
So that makes sense to me. Okay. In the next 5 years, what do you hope to accomplish?
I hope to fall in love
Okay.
and be happy in the choice that I made with the person that I'm with.
Okay. All right. The next 30 days, what word would you like to embody? Since you said at the beginning, the last 30 days were feisty, you can stay with feisty, or what do you want to go for in the next 30 days?
Relax.
Relax. Don't do it. Okay. Relax. We're putting that very, very big. What's your favorite workout? You kind of already answered it, but
Right now, it's the Peloton with
okay.
Alex, one of the instructors.
What's your least favorite workout?
These days, my least favorite is yoga.
Okay.
I know that that's sort of like against everything that I've said, but if it's too slow, I need a jam right now. I'm not
No,
in
I
the
get
Zen
it.
mood.
I get it.
I need like my Savage and my Nicki Minaj, not all that woo music. I just need the beat.
Yeah, that's true. When you cruise, do you blast your music?
Heck to the yeah.
Yeah. Cruising. By the way, my son and I, we do that too. We'll go in the car. We'll go to get takeout coffee, and I'll say, "Do you have time?" He's like, "Mom, where am I going?" You know what I mean? And he puts on his eclectic music, and we just drive around. And we'll come home. My husband will be like, "Where were you two?" I'm just cruising. Like, it's just fun to do. Like, where are we going this time? I don't know. I'm just listening to music. It's a fun thing to do. So, Shari Botwin, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on. How can they reach you?
They can find me on my website, which is www.justmyname, so SHARIBOTWIN.com, and all of my contact information, my email address, my phone number, links to all my social media, my book, everything's there.
Oh, cool. All right. And before we go, is there anything that we didn't get in that you want to get in? That's your last and final chance.
I would say it's the last thing I would want to say is if you showed up today and you were open to hearing the things that we talked about, if something that we talked about really struck you or motivated you, go with it. Don't just listen to us talking about it, but go out there and do that thing that you felt inspired by.
Ooh, that's good. It's like people that I know that watch workout videos while they're eating and they don't do them.
That would not be me.
That cracks me up. Like, it's like, I guess, it's the same thing as me. I don't really cook, but I watch cooking shows. Like, why?
There you go.
I'm not going to make it. All right, my positive power ladies. Until next time. Oh my God. I'm not going to say toodles yet. I was going to say toodles.
I was waiting.
I never do this, Shari. I never do it. I'm so bad. Don't forget. Make sure you share the podcast. Like the podcast. Megan, my business manager, is going to clobber me in the head. I've been doing this for years. I don't tell people to share. I don't tell people to rate it. I don't tell people to like it, but I'm proud of it. And if you really liked it and enjoyed it, please share it around and subscribe. I think I'm going to be on by the way, Sharon, in a few weeks, it's going to be my 100th episode. And maybe once I've asked people to subscribe.
It's going to be your 100th episode. Congratulations.
Is that horrible though? Like, I don't say, please hit that button, subscribe. I forget.
Like the kids would say, please, this is how the kids would say it. Smash on that like button and make sure you comment. And don't forget to also review Sandy's show because reviews really help. If you really like Sandy's podcast, don't just like it. Actually post a review and that would be awesome.
But by the way, Shari, I think people should know that. But my friends are like, no, you have to remind us. We're busy people.
Yeah, you do have to. You have to feel okay about asking for what you need, right, San? And asking for what you want.
I didn't even think I needed it, but I realized I need that. So there you go. And now, my positive power ladies, toodles.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to share and subscribe if you enjoyed the show. And remember, keep spreading the positive.